I had content that I had recorded. I had content that I had recorded that I said, I'm gonna upload it. I'm gonna finish uploading it. Then I'm gonna go. I also had told myself that I'm in a fast right now, right? It started on the 19th of July, and I was intending on ending that fast on the 19th of August, a month later. And because I was in the middle of the fast, I was like maybe in my second week of that fast, I told myself that if something does not give by the end of this fast, I'm taking my life. So I was suicidal like crazy, but then I kept myself alive all the way up until the 19th. And way before the 19th came, I gained relief in that rescinded job opportunity. And I imagined that was God staying me from committing suicide. And it was, but not for the reasons that I came to understand later, eventually, right? But I got so depressed. The situation was so extreme and so dire that, the situation got so dire that I wanted to go even before the 19th because I just couldn't push. But then what kept me alive was my content. I had content that I had told myself, I'm first going to upload this and then I'm going to go. And it was before I had uploaded my last batch of videos that I got that silly family member offering me that silly job that has ever since then been rescinded. So that's why I didn't do it. Okay, would I have done it? I don't know. But the strong desire to do it stayed by that. All those things are interventions, but you all need to understand that I am at the end of myself right now. But I'm speaking this message to help people understand the providential outworking of God, how he delivers, so that by the time, whatever's going to be the eventuality of this whole situation, I will have testified, I will have shared what I went through to get to the point where it is that God got me. So I come and I talk anyway, and these talk sessions really heal me, like extremely. They heal me like very, very much. And by the time I'm done, a full day's worth of chatting, I feel a lot better. Enough to basically push me for one day. The Bible says, take up your cross, follow Jesus daily. And I gain daily currency out of talking here because I wake up every morning freshly suicidal, but not every morning. It is not every morning, but yeah, this morning, it's yesterday morning and today, it's a thing. And a lot of times when these death spells are in operation, my family then also treats me like trash. But then I am reminded that they've been doing it. Like, it's just the way that they've been. And my mom has never cared. And when I am being yelled at and spoken to like I am trash, even denied basic things like toilet paper, because it's being rationed, I realize that it is aligned to a presently operating death curse. So I come here in the car and I talk until such time that I can break past this, but I have to make sense of what's going on because there's no way that God has forsaken me. So I'm busy telling a story and I'm hopping over ahead into the future while going back into the past and whatnot. So let me just try and keep the coherence of chronology going, like, linear. I'm sorry if my face fell off over there. Y'all know these glasses are not real. It's a filter. Okay. Yeah, shades. So, like I said, that first time when I was like 20 years old, I did not kill myself because I was scared of hell. I was scared of the unknown. I was not saved, but what my friend said in high school was just, it rang in my head like over and over and over and over and over. And so I didn't even attempt. I didn't try. I couldn't. I couldn't. I was too scared. I was scared of the unknown. It was unconfirmed. I did believe in God, but I wasn't saved. You know how the demons believe and they tremble? I wasn't saved yet, but I did believe in a God. And long story short, what my friend said saved me. Whether or not theologically she is accurate, we will only find that out one day in heaven. To see if there are any suicides in heaven. One day we'll find out, because it's a hotly debated topic in the body of Christ. What's going on over there? Because suicide is a sin, just like murder and lying, that can be forgiven by God. But, some might argue that, and which was my argument, that you probably do it because you were never in him at all. Like, you never trusted him enough. You could not just hold on one more day. You didn't have faith, and without faith, it's impossible to please God. So like I said, this very hotly debated topic, we will find out, all of us, one day, whether or not we're accurate, okay? Because there is literally absolutely nobody that was truly of God in the Bible that ever did it, and that is a glaring warning on its own. And Samson doesn't count as a suicide per se. He was more like a martyr, bringing down those pillars. He killed more Philistines than he did when he was alive, type thing. The story of Samson doesn't count. Like, it's just, for a myriad of reasons, it doesn't count. But there's literally no one. I mean, Saul committed suicide, Judas, who else? All the people that committed suicide in the scriptures were just not good men. They were not safe people in the sight of Christ. So we don't have enough to go on. It's a massive risk. It's a huge risk that it's been 10 years. It took 10 years of this level of suffering that I'm enduring to get to a point where I'm starting to concede concerning suicide because of just how much of a risk it is. Theologically, it's a sensitive, hotly debated, we beg to differ, and sometimes you can even change your mind about it issue, and sometimes even changing your mind about it might be inspired by the fact that you're so depressed. But we'll find out later, okay? But I'm not trying to find out by testing it myself. However, when you are thrown in the center of a severity of melancholy by a repeat cycle of death spells, you don't know how long you have to wait, how much longer you can wait to basically just let God do what he's doing. But what is important to understand is that somehow, strangely and miraculously, it therefore cannot be fortuitous. There has been something that God has put in front of me to prevent me from doing it. All my life, even recently, it took 10 years of sorrow for me to try it once and then meditate deeply on the prospect of it the second time. 10 years. And the first time it was blocked, and the second time it was prevented before I could continue on with the ideation. Because I always put the goalpost out. Like I'm usually in a fast or whatever, and I'm like, by the end of my fast, not usually, I mean, I speak like it happens all the time. It's not. It's an extreme thought that has rarely come into my mind, but recently it's been a deep consideration. I'm just confessing what's going on. Okay, back then I wanted to do it. I remember there was a time when I was deeply considering it in a bathtub. I was in the bath, and at that stage I was in KZN with my mom. I had gone there because I was that depressed. I took a bus to KZN by myself, Greyhound, and I just landed there because I was literally about to die. I didn't want to kill myself, so wanting my mom's attention, I went there. And when I arrived at Durban station, at Durban bus station, and I called her, she was irritated with me because it was night when I arrived. And I was taking her out of her way. I was wrestling her out of her way. And she couldn't even think. Your daughter left Johannesburg with nothing but, just a small little bag. Without telling, I didn't even tell my uncle. I didn't tell my cousins. I just left. I was depressed. I was suicidal. And I got on a bus with the pocket change that she gave me. It was only $600. I think I paid $350 for that Greyhound. Went all the way to KZN. And when I arrived, I called her, having not told her that I'm coming. I don't even know why my uncle or my cousin did not call her to be like, I was didn't come home. Hey guys, people just so have not cared about me. Like, I did not come home, and my uncle didn't think to call my mom. Where's your daughter? We don't know where Karabo is. It's an 8-hour trip, kapas, to get from Johannesburg to Durban. And it was already night, very late night when I arrived in KwaZulu. And my uncle didn't think to ask, Pukara. Oh, guys. Hey man, I've been set up for failure, Lankutla. I've been set up for failure. It's like I get there, and my mom is again irritated. She's always been so irritated. Whenever I would send out a distress signal to her, she was irritated. The first time I tried to commit suicide, irritated. Second time, she was irritated that I was sick because I was vomiting. Even though she didn't know that I had swallowed pills. But the first time she knew I had swallowed pills and yelled at me for basically swallowing pills and putting her out of comfort. The second time she didn't know I swallowed pills, but I woke her up at night on a working night to take me to the doctor because I was really, really sick, and she was irritated. And then here it is that I arrive at KZN super depressed because I'm going nowhere in life, and I call her, irritated, picks me up, and so because she was just still this thing that, like, hello, don't you see, I'm crying out for help, I got in the bathtub and I told myself that I was gonna drown myself in that water. I was too scared to cut myself. So I told myself that I was going to drown myself in that water. And as I was deeply considering it yet again, my friend from high school that day when we were speaking in front of the garage during break, everybody who commits suicide goes to hell. It came to me. So I got really scared. I was so depressed. I was so out of it and so wanted to die that I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with all this emotion? It's too much. But I definitely don't want to go to hell, just in case my friend is right. So that's when then I cried to my mom and I was like, I'm depressed. Like I feel like dying. And then my mom was like, oh, okay. And then she booked me with some therapists down the road there in Durban, the therapist of which did absolutely nothing for me. But in the run up to me seeing that shrink lady, what got me to the point of that depression is what I'm now presently trying to explain to you guys. That suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary issue. Sometimes you are en route, an interim, going somewhere, and something is already set. It's being done for you. It's being fashioned. You're going to be okay. But then because it's not coming as quickly as you would like it to come, you just go and you end your life. I was en route coming out of the grain. But when I was in KZN, I wanted to die because it was just so quiet. It was so quiet. And I was like, I can't live like this. I have no sense of purpose. And I tried to do something with my life and it's not giving. And I tried to kill myself. I was told suicides go to hell. I then asked for help. Some shrink is whack. But that was literally just mere days before I got a call. Mere days. It was days, not even weeks. Days before I got a call telling me that I have successfully interviewed for a job. Guys, yes, the Lord, man, he's been around like this entire time. Here it is that I met Ladi Soweto, okay? Before this whole thing of me trying to commit suicide in the bathtub, I'm only 20 years old, right? Y'all know I spoke about the containers, the public phone containers. My mom, when I was living in Kotladi, would only give me like 600 rand a month. Out of that 600 bucks, my uncle would demand like something like 200 rands of that money, 250 bucks. So I only had 450 bucks to basically do everything I needed to do for the whole of the month. 600 rands, 250 of which I had to give to my uncle. And with that 350 rands that I had, I was now supposed to look for a job. 350, I was supposed to look for a job. So I would buy a Workplace on Wednesdays, the newspaper. I would buy the Star and then of course grab the Workplace. And it was before internet. We didn't have, well, look, there was internet, but we did not have, it was before Wi-Fi. It was before fiber to the home. Yeah, at homes, like, yeah, even before the popularizing of data in your phone. So those people who could apply for jobs online were those who were already in corporate, who had what is this local area network from their jobs. So you can open Career Junction there. You can open whatever career site, PNet, I don't know if it was around at the time, I believe it was, at work, and so apply from the leisure of your own house. Not house, but from the leisure of your own chair, without having to deal with too much red tape and all that jazz. Yeah, what a fish paste. But when you're living Kokasi with no internet, and I don't even think I had a smartphone at the time. And also the internet cafe was available, was there, but I didn't have money to pay them to sit there and for hours just search for job online because I didn't have money. I had to buy a Workplace. That was my only way out. All I had was the Workplace. Literally, yo, guys. Oh, I need the bathroom again. Okay, I'm back. Like I said, all I had was the Workplace, that newspaper job page. I was limited to that. And now the thing about the Workplace is that you gotta call whoever it is that you feel might be the prospective employment opportunity. You have to call them, right? Yeah, based on the ad that they placed in the paper. And I had nothing but 350 rands to make these calls from. I would have loved to have the Workplace on all 4 Wednesdays of the month. But with 350 rands for pocket money to get anything that I need, roll on, spray deodorant, tampons, things that a person needs, just to pass the month, basic necessities, basically, you're left with like chump change, basically nothing afterwards. Plus, the public phones weren't exactly cheap, and the unfortunate thing about landline numbers that you call from the workplace is that they will make you hold. Do you understand? They will make you hold and hold and hold, or some woman with like an automated recorded voice will be like, your call will be answered soon, please be patient. And then it's like this music just going and going and going. And yeah, I had to deal, I don't know how many times, based on what little money I had, I stayed on the phones, at the public phones in the containers, go Soweto, go Tladi. And the phone, basically I would have to hang up because I didn't have enough money to pay them now, because I was on hold. I was only able to buy on any given month 2 workplaces. So basically only twice a month did I job hunt. And even then I would of course call numbers, places where they, like call centers, right? Call centers. I was really just trying to get into the call center. They all needed experience, matric and experience. I didn't have experience, but I would call anyway. I had made my CV through the internet cafe. That was what it is that I paid in order to get, right? I paid services for an internet cafe to get, but when it came to actually applying online, I didn't use the internet cafe. I called, when it came to applying, for jobs, I called, and sometimes I would have to hang up the phone because as much money as I have on me has been depleted. I'm gonna owe this place and they're gonna give me problems. So let me just go, and then for the rest of the month, it would be dry and I would be so depressed. Oh, goodness. And mind you, most of the places that I called would ask me, do you have any experience? And I'd be like, no, I'm from a trick. And they'd be like, no, sorry, we need you to have 6 months experience. We need you to have 7 months experience, a year, blah, blah. So nobody would call me. No, sorry, not call me. What you call this? People, they'd be like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I tried to apply for learnerships. And they all rejected me, Old Mutual rejected me, what is this, Standard Bank rejected me, learnerships are for matriculants, right? All rejected me. It was just so ridiculously rough. It was incredibly rough. And yeah, this would go on for 6 months. So only twice a week was I able to apply for a job. And even then, I would always get told, no, we need experience. The whole time I am pining. The whole time I am mourning. The whole time I am in so much pain and I am extremely suicidal. My cousin, the one whose family I lived with, that used to be my best friend, went cold on me overnight, stopped being good to me. She was so mean that one time she came home with her boyfriend. At some point we were partying together, all of us, including that guy. And him and her come into the kitchen where it is that I was now at home, and I was basically just kind of depleted, looking very homey, didugu, wearing like dogs and just home rags and slip slops, not looking my best self. This is a young guy, the crew of boys of which we used to hang out with, and so of course I wanted to look good in front of them because they were peers, and it's that time, you're so young, you're like 20, so I mean, when a like 24-year-old dude is there, a 23-year-old guy is there, you don't want to be looking like trash in front of him, because it's like looking like trash in front of some boys, stuff like that matters when you're a kid. This chick comes, go habona with her boyfriend. I had at some point partied with these people, and the boyfriend is like, hi Karabo, I greet, and my cousin just walks right by me like I'm nothing in front of the boyfriend, basically suggesting to her boyfriend that because even I don't care what's going on over here. Yeah, she treated me like that, and we used to party together. We were tight. During this time, I got close with her sister, who was still in high school at the National School of Arts, because her sister was so mean. Like her older sister was just so mean. Her older sister, who was my age, who was my friend, was so mean that I basically got close with the sister. Even her little sister confessed. She was like, the way that my sister's treating you is trash, man. It's like, it's horrific. I'm sorry. And frankly, if it was not for my little cousin, I think I might have actually taken myself out. It was her and her boyfriend that both of them were high school students. Her and her boyfriend kept me company because I was at home, not going to work, and schools end at like 2 p.m. or whatever. I sometimes used to hang out with them after their school. After they were done at school, they would then come home and I would hang out with them, and it made everything so much easier. It made everything better. And how kind she was to me made everything better because her sister was just horrible. So the combination of my best friend turning cold on me and acting in front of boys our age or our boyfriend age type guys like I'm just scum and I'm rubbish and I'm worthless, that with unemployment, no school, I'm just like a loser, trash, just a loser. That's like, I came from being this academic in school. I was so popular, I was pretty, I was all that, and now I'm just I'm just this loser. Like, guys, yes, like I was like me. I tried to be better. I tried to be bigger. I studied so my mom could see that I'm worth the while to invest in, but she didn't pay my fees at varsity. I did this, I did that. Nothing is working, and because I did not want to just like end up in this grain, I wanted to die. Everything taken away from me. I wanted to die. As you guys, when I went to KZN, I went there, and when I got there, when I saw that my mom, even though she had a whole bunch of furniture when she was in Johannesburg, when I saw that she bought new furniture in the house, I was like, how are you going to buy brand spanking new furniture, filling up your house with everything new, bed, new couch, new everything, and you ignored my fees? You had a bed. You didn't pay my fees. You had a bed. You didn't pay my fees. You had a fridge. You didn't pay my fees. You had couches. You didn't pay my fees. You had a table, a coffee table. You didn't pay my fees. You had bathroom carpets. You had like lounge carpets. You had curtains. Her whole house was redone. Like, she bought everything new, even though her company that hired her was willing to transport all of her furniture from Johannesburg to KZN. She just decided in Jefela to buy new stuff, but she ignored my school fees that were outstanding at Wits. And on top of that, she gave me 600 rands a month only, 250 bucks of which I had to give to my uncle, and then just left me. I was so suicidal. Like, it's not even funny. I was like, Ebatong, shoot, nobody's gonna miss me if I die. My older sister would have been devastated, because she had my back. My older sister only turned on me later on in life. Not later. When I came to Christ, we got divided. The Lord has come upon the earth not to bring peace but a sword. She became a mortal enemy of mine only because I came to Jesus. But before giving my life to Christ, this fake lipstick is coming off on my teeth. Like, I got discolored teeth, but whatever. We'll just keep it. Before my Christianity, my older sister, that just help you understand that God has always buffered the blow of this negligent parenting. When I was a kid on the come up, my older sister was like my mom. She had my back in a way that my mom didn't. She was the one that would buy me cakes on my birthdays, and sing me happy birthday with her pocket money. She had my back, one time. But after I took myself back to school, she's the one that paid my registration fee at Wits so that I don't have to skip a year. Yeah, my sister really had my back, but she was abroad. She was not around. She was not there to be there for me. She was not there. And in and of herself, my older sister is only older than me by 2 years. So in and of herself, she was still really young and studying, right? So she did not have money to send me. Plus, I didn't want to burden her type setup thing. So she would have just found out that Karabo committed suicide and been like, what the heck? Like, how in the world did you let that happen? Because she knew that my mom was weird towards me, to a point where sometimes she would have to intervene and be like, no. Like, the way that my mom used to chica me, the way nang chica katengi, it was mean. It was ugly. It was ugly. Like, the things she would say when she was telling me off were not the kinds of stuff that you would say to a kid. Do you understand? Like, one time, for instance, a boyfriend, like, I came home late or whatever because I was with a boyfriend, and my sister was back home from overseas during that time. And when I came back, my mom started yelling at me, talking to me about how it is that kids, why didn't I come home on time? What a fish paste. And then she started calling me words that no parent should call their kid, like words that describe a loose person, like, you know, the S word in Tswana, which basically means like a harlot, like, you know, an all over the show girl. Yeah. But like in Tswana, like the S word. She called me the S, like you would have to like proper, if you are not African or South African, you would not know what that S word is, but it's a really derogatory term. It's a really derogatory term. No woman wants to be called that. It is it is a synonym for harlotry, for whoredom. Yeah, but it's really base. It's extremely base. It's like worse even than calling someone, you know, wanting to whoredom or a harlot. It's extremely base. It's like the S word. Yeah, it's the you know, yeah, exactly. Another word for harlot is the S word, and I bet you would agree that the say, like, describing a woman that's loose in the streets as a harlot is politically correct in a way that using the S word just isn't. She called me that multiple times in that conversation, and my sister was like, stop calling her that. Like, she unale boyfriend. The chick is like 17 years old. These things happen. You cannot be calling one how an S. Yeah, type thing. Yeah, and my mom then stopped because of that. Like, my older sister used to intervene. So she was a buffer. She was a shock absorber. And that shock absorption ended when I came to Christ. But I'm trying to help you understand that there was always something. There was always someone. There was always a shock absorber to that negligent parenting. My older sister took on the reins. She took on the reins. She did. She took on the reins and protected me. And however, during that season, she was not around in the country. And if I had killed myself, it would have just totally caught her off guard. And she would have been bereft and probably blamed my mom on some. But you've always been like that. Like, you've always been neglectful of Karabo. You've always just, she would have blamed her. My older sister would have blamed my mom for my death. So, and I wasn't even thinking about my older sister during, like, the suicide was just, it was, you know, when you are suicidal, you are so caught in your own mind, in your own sorrow. You are so deep in your pain that you can't even think, for crying out loud, to think about the widespread consequences of your death. Who is going to be affected? You are just, your pain is so extreme that you just want to end it, and you don't even think about others. Largely, I know there are people who commit suicide when Sasqueen, Shiko Batung, but the kind that I was feeling was just to get out of this. Like, I had no purpose in life anymore. It was just empty. I just want to go. But who it affects, now that I think back, my older sister would have been devastated. She would have been shocked, caught off guard, unhinged, and likely blamed my mom based on her observation of her unfairness towards me, because my mom was not like that towards all her kids. It was just me. That's just a sad thing. It was just me that she was like that towards. And a little bit better to my older sister, a lot better. So it really, like, thank God that I did not hurt all those people, because I not only would have hurt those people, but I would have hurt myself. Yeah, too, because I would have gone to hell, for crying out loud. I was lost. I did not know Christ at the time. Anyway, so here it is that I am busy calling 350 rands, buying a workplace every week until I don't have money anymore. Phones having to hang up before people can answer on the other side based on an ad I saw in the paper. Yeah, and that just kept happening. Like I said, it happened like that for 6 whole months, and I was so depressed. Had a shock absorber in my little cousin and her boyfriend. Had a shock absorber in I had no other shock absorber, actually. That was it. Like, my little cousin and her boyfriend were my shock absorber. They were the only shock absorber, and it worked because we were okay, fine. So I was unregenerate at the time, so we used to smoke cigarettes and sometimes drink alcohol and whatnot, and that sort of kind of made some of the pain go away. Yeah, these are the things that I would do. We would go to the recreational center, you know, down the road. Well, not so much down the road. It was actually quite a walk to Miletsani, all the way up there. And we would do capoeira. The guy knew how to do capoeira, so he would teach us capoeira. Good thing. Those people helped me along. Okay, my little cousin and her boyfriend, they helped me along. Yeah, even though they were younger than me, but the boyfriend was only younger than me by a year. No, by 2. How young was that guy? Was he still in matric, in high school? Or was he already done with matric? I don't know. Yeah, he was. No, I think he had already matriculated. The guy had already matriculated, but my cousin was still in high school, but they went to the same high school at some point. That's where they met. Yeah, So he was like a 1985 or something. Then my cousin is like a 1988. They were kids, but I guess we were all kids to a certain extent, but they were teenagers, you know, like they were young. They were really young, like super young. So they didn't go to, but I hung out with them and we drank alcohol and we smoked cigarettes, and it was, you know, a bad way to cope, but I coped. It got me from one day to another, to another, to another. Yeah, it got me from one day to another, to another, to another. But it was not enough. It was like I said, a band-aid on cancer. It was spraying cologne on a corpse. Cancer was metastasizing. All that was doing was just staying it from finishing its course. Yeah, it was just slowing down the metastasization of it, but it was not causing a remission. I was dying. I wouldn't have made it past the 1 year mark. I wouldn't have. This whole thing lasted 6 months, but 6 months when you are that depressed, when you're that suicidal, when you feel like there's nothing coming, when you feel that kind of a sense of emptiness and despair, one day is a lot. 1 day is a lot. So 6 months is 6 years. 6 months is 6 years when you're in those shoes. Okay. And in that 6 month season, I was extremely suicidal with limited shock absorption, and frustrated out of my mind by the fact that I couldn't keep trying to apply for a job all month long, that I couldn't buy the workplace all month long, that I could only buy it for 2 weekends, 2 Wednesdays of the month, and the other 2 Wednesdays, they would just glide right by my nose. And then I would have to use my coins to pay the public phone, and sometimes I would have to hang up before they even answer. Those who do answer are like, no, you don't have an experience. You have nothing going on. Nothing's going on. And just like that article that I was reading on Chorus Digest, it reminded me of where I come from. This young man speaking about how it is that he was job hunting for 6 months, and I was like, oh, I remember a time like that. I remember a time when I was job hunting for 6 months. I have job hunted in my past for longer than 6 months, but it was always when I was in a job, you know. But that time was in an unemployed season, and when you are job hunting, even for 1 month when you're unemployed, the level of sorrow, the level of disappointment that you feel from not being called back, from being hung up on, not hung up on, I mean, they're not rude that way, but just not getting a positive answer. Oh goodness, man, like you can take it when you've got a job, but it's just so demotivating and taxing when you don't have one. When you desire richly with every bone in your body that you get a positive response and you don't. It's just, yeah, and then for me to be put back in this position again after I actually started a career, after I actually got out of that, like I escaped the grain of negligent parenting, I escaped the grain of a negligent earth, like everybody around me just not caring what's going to happen to me tomorrow. I got out and I'm back again here. Like I'm here again, for real. Like I'm 40 and this time around, instead of 6 months, it's been a decade. Like I told you, my life, God pursued me all throughout it, and so therefore as a result, Satan has been pursuing me all throughout it. Satan has been pursuing me all throughout my life. Alright? It took me 6 months to finally achieve any kind of success. And after 6 months of this thing, in and out workplace, buying it every week, the first 2 weeks of each month, finally I happened upon an advert that did not require me to call the company, but rather to write an essay. Yeah, Liberty Life was starting a learnership. It was opening a learnership opportunity for young kids who are matriculants, and the way that we would apply would be through writing a letter instead of basically speaking about ourselves, our dreams, our ambitions. We were given a mock-up in the workplace, like the advert in the workplace gave all the clear instructions as to what to do and where to email this thing. Okay, yeah, well, when Liberty Life, when I saw that ad, yeah, Liberty Life, I was like, finally, because I've always known I'm really smart and I know how to speak for myself. All I need is for someone to see me in order for me to ultimately achieve success and getting an opportunity at all. I often don't look really good on paper, but once people see me, they give me a chance, and that's just always been the way that it is. So when I saw that advert in the newspaper by Liberty Life for a learnership opportunity, I was like, this is just what I need, because everywhere else I call them and they just ignore me. They hang up. I just say hello, goodbye, is this opportunity open? They don't interview, at all. So therefore, this is not going to give. Like, nobody's going to give me a chance because nobody is willing to sit down with me. Nobody is willing to sit down with me. And when I saw the advert by Liberty Life, I was like, this might just be it. We were not told to call a number. We were just given an email address and a fax number to email an essay. And the mock-up of the essay and what was to be in it was communicated in the ad. And I went straight to work. I went straight to work. This time around, instead of buying a workplace or spending my money making calls, I paid to sit at an internet cafe. And I sat down and I wrote, an essay at the internet cafe. And I emailed it to that email address at Liberty Life with, of course, my CV, which had nothing in it except my fact that I was in matric once. Yeah, because I had never worked before. I had some stuff in my CV. I mean, I had worked as a casual in stores, clothing stores, when you're working part-time in retail stores. I had that. Yeah, so I put that in my CV coupled with my matriculation and whatnot with this like CV. And then I shipped it over to Liberty Life and they called me. I did. I had a cell phone. I did have a cell phone at the time, yeah. They called me after, I think they called after like 2 weeks or something, 2 to 3 weeks. So, of course, in that time, I still kept on first week of the month buying the workplace, trying again. But Liberty Life called me. And when they called me, they interviewed me on the phone. Hi, Karabo, they say Wendy from Liberty Life. Are you available right now to have a 15-minute telephonic interview? And I was like, yeah, no, of course. And they interviewed me and they loved me because, like I said, I can talk for myself. I can speak for myself. And after that telephonic interview, I was then invited to a psychometric test to be at the site at Go Liberty. And when I got the psychometric invitation, I was so excited because finally something was looking like it's going to give. Something was looking like it's going to fruition for me here. So the Liberty Life thing became literally the only thing I'm looking at because they were the only people that were prepared to even talk to me. It became the only thing I'm looking at. I've got the psychometric evaluation on the come up. I'm excited. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna get a job. It wasn't a job, it was a learnership. So it was, you got paid a stipend of like 3,000. Well, we would later come to learn that we got a stipend of like 2,800 rands. And then we would go to school and then we would vie for a potential possibility to be hired permanently as time progressed or after the learnership ended. So it was an opportunity to basically enable us to just break into corporate South Africa at all. And that became the only thing I was leaning on. It became the only thing I was leaning on. So this could not go bust. This cannot go bust. I cannot, proper, after 6 months, this was the only thing that had a glimmer of hope. Something that shone, something that looked like it could actually work. I was in hell, do you understand? And I needed out. I wanted to die, but this was something that was going to make sure that I don't have to die. This was something that was going to make sure that I don't have to go out like that. And go for the psychometric testing and everything. Long story short, like I said, this Liberty Life thing took 6 months. In that time, I desperately wanted to die. But then once the Liberty Life thing got rolling, I was freed. I was loosed. Like, my heart was not so bereft anymore. My cousin was still mean. I was okay. I was still in the kasi, smoking cigarettes every so often and drinking some booze. But I was okay. Because there was hope. There was hope. Do you understand? And by booze, we weren't drinking every day, okay? But we certainly were smoking every day. Type establishment thing. There was hope that I was going to be okay. So even though I was still in these shoddy conditions, one of these days I could be working. So depression lifted off me immediately. So just to show that the depression was not inspired by, just some ominous, unexplained mental illness, just a macabre that's just chilling, just cause, there are people who kill themselves despite having thriving jobs, thriving children to raise and this and that. I can never understand that because my suicide ideation was always tied to neglect and a sense of listlessness, feeling like I cannot win with this woman. With my mom, I can't win with my life. I can't win with my circumstance. That was always the reason why I wanted to commit suicide. But every time I got out of that grain, I was always so happy to live. I'm sorry about the dog. I had to come outside because it's getting dark. There's so much activity. But anyway, Distractions aside, I'll try and speak above all of them. Yes, I was speaking about how it is that at Liberty Life, not at Liberty, sorry, but the opportunity at Liberty Life was all that I had, okay, at the time. Like, that was all that I could lean on. At that particular juncture, that's all that I could lean on. And I was holding on to it for dear life. Because it's distracting me. I'm not in the mood of these kinds of distractions. But there's no way that I'm not gonna get them. So I guess let's just like speak right past them, right? Let us try and speak right past them. Yes, like can so many dogs be operating at the same time? Let me sit slightly ahead to be a little bit more comfortable. I don't know. Yeah, it's a guy. The Liberty Life thing, I'm sorry. I'm laboring because I'm distracted. I don't even know if you can hear me. You can. Probably not as loudly as in the car, but you can hear me anyway. So yes, like I was saying, the Liberty Life thing was the main thing that I was looking at, and so it could not fall through the cracks. I could not lose that. It would be too taxing for me. So the psychometric evaluation happens, and we're all excited. I'm all excited, okay? I'm feeling just so many distractions. I'm all excited. And then the psychometric goes well. Okay, I'm walking because I got distracted. I got my power bank, and I'm praying that my cat does not follow me all the way out. Maybe I won't even walk up the complex this time around. I'll just keep strolling around inside because I feel a lot more secure when I'm inside. Yes, I was speaking about how at Liberty Life that opportunity could not fall through. It couldn't because I was depressed. I spoke earlier about how it is that some people, they commit suicide despite like so much going for them, like so much, and really nobody can really explain what they were going through, etc. All that jazz to get them to that place. But I've never been that girl. Like whenever my stuff was okay, I was happy to live. So I can't even say that I'm genuinely a person that struggles with depression. I'm not. Like not even in the slightest. The things that depress me is just a purposelessness, not being able to do anything with myself, just merely existing, gathering dust, and with also the level of apathy encircling me from other people, with people just not caring, really. Shame, my cat, she doesn't even follow me this side because of the fact that there's this like horrible cat that keeps on abusing her every time she comes this side. This cat, like, it's funny that that black cat, it abuses my cat like so horrifically. It's like all my enemies. It just bullies the living daylights out of me, and so my cat just avoids coming this side. But my, how that cat loves to come to the side of my cat. Like, yeah, it appears I and everything that belongs to me are just up for grabs by bullies, aren't we? Anyway, I don't really want to exit the complex. I don't, not today. Yeah, or do I? I don't know, whatever, man, let me just carry on talking. I've never really understood that. I've always been just happy to live, happy to thrive, happy to push life insofar as I could. But carelessness, neglect, and abandonment alongside an inability to take care of myself by myself, that has been the problem. So I'm in that situation now today where not only am I neglected, abandoned, and carelessly treated, I also can't take care of myself. And that stuff is a cocktail for suicide. It's been that way all my life. Like, that's the way that it's been. That's why I was never supposed to turn 15. I was never supposed to turn 20. I was never supposed to turn 25. I was never supposed to turn 30, and I was certainly never supposed to turn 40, because all these things that are a recipe and a perfect cocktail for my suicide have always just encircled me. They just keep pursuing me. They just keep pursuing me, and I can't even tell you why. I can't, like, maybe it's just the way that people who are called by God tend to be. Whatever is the main thing that can derail them and knock them off in whatever capacity, Satan will just keep reigniting those conditions in their lives. Like, if for instance a Christian struggles with alcohol addiction from long ago, the devil will bring conditions about in that Christian's life that can cause them to potentially relapse. Same thing with cigarette addiction, or maybe pornography, whatever could be a thing that can really mess up a saint's life, just based on past observation as to what tended to be the triggers of this thing historically. The devil will just keep igniting those conditions. And in my life, just the repeat of negligence and the repeat of negligence and the repeat of an inability to have my own back just keeps happening, like over and over and over and over and over and over again, like the same thing over and over, without reprieve, without fail. It is setting me up. It's like the devil saw, okay, I should probably face oncoming traffic. It's like the devil saw from long ago that I have a propensity. I tried to commit suicide. I didn't try. I was trying to get attention from some negligent woman at 11, and that was the first time I ever downed pills to not. I didn't want to die. I told you guys I didn't want to die, but I was looking for attention. He saw that and was like, okay, I see the right conditions that can cause this particular human being to do this. And so he just constantly kept on trying to invest in them again and again and again and again, and each time the Lord has delivered me from them. Each time Christ has delivered me from conditions that could get me to that nth degree, to that final point. And that happened before and also after redemption, before and after coming around to the Lord. So basically remembering the benefits of God. If it happened before, it can happen again. If he covered before, if he protected before, he can protect again. If he rescued before, he can rescue again. Okay, so when I was, maybe just standing by this tree is what I'm gonna do instead of walking up and down, because I don't know, I'm uncomfortable. Why am I uncomfortable? It's fine, let me pace. Let me walk. It's fine, I'll walk. Yeah, the Liberty Life thing, it did not fall through. God is the one that sets apart parameters. That's what I'm trying to explain. Okay, he's the one that knows how much we can take. It is written in his word that he will not tempt us beyond what we are able. He knew that I was not saved at the time. I was made scared to commit suicide because apparently suicides go to hell. But I was not sufficiently convinced of that enough, since I was an unbeliever. I was not saved. My theology was off. Do you understand? So the thing that was hanging me on by a thread was not strong enough. It was not good enough. Like the threat that of hell that my friend threatened me with, I was not solidly pinned to the ground by it. I only feared it enough to stay alive for 6 months, pretty much. But I was so at the end of my rope that at that 6-month mark, I wanted to drown myself in a bathtub. And then I was told that all suicides go to hell. It stayed me for a few days only afterwards. Literally, it kept me from finishing myself off. Just mere days before the thing that would loose the bonds around me of this creepy thing that was encircling my neck. Yeah, God, even though I wasn't saved, never let it get to that point, because like I said, God rescues us. He calls us from while we are still in our mother's wombs. Do you understand? He fashions us in their wombs to make sure that we will at some point respond to the call. We have a sense of knowing, maybe a sense of feeling, maybe in the run up to our redemption, that there's something that is not right about this earth, a sense of differentness, distance from the earth. We can't really account for why it's like that until we finally get born again, and it is that place that God gets us to, being born again. When we are saved, at least now we have Christ, right? But that does not mean that depression does not still come. And of course, with Christianity, more so are you going to be afflicted, because we have a target on our back, and the world hates disciples. So basically, if you've been through it before, you will go through it even worse as a Christian. Whatever you went through prior to your redemption, it'll be magnified. It's just, again, the world hates disciples. It's what the combination of the concoction, the cocktail of inputs that contributed to my desire to die back in the day. The devil literally magnified them. He made them beastly. They yawned. They grew fur. The same conditions. He just enlarged them. If it lingered 6 months, this time it's been 10 years. If it was my cousin that was mean, but another cousin was nice, this time it's everyone that's mean. If it was unemployment that hurt me, this time around it is the same thing, but like for 10 years. If it's a loss of degree, like being unable to study, and so therefore acquire for myself some kind of goal in life, this time around it looks as if I'll never be able to get my degree. I mean, I had to drop out of school, but I was able to take myself back. I re-registered at WITS and studied part-time once I got a job. This time around, I don't even know if I can recover my degree from WITS. It's like if it's a situation that Satan has seen in the past has made you really super depressed, he will magnify it, but so you can understand the girth and the height of God's power in your life in comparison to the way that you were living prior to him. Just the girth, the extent, the magnitude of suffocation that you are endured under as a Christian evidences the power of God, because it's not proportional. It's not like a 2-to-1 ratio or even a 3-to-1 ratio. It's like something along the lines of 100 or 200 to 1 ratio in comparison to what you used to go through before. So you don't endure twice the pain of when you were lost, that the thing that caused you to perhaps plunge into alcohol addiction. You don't go through only twice those situations to put you back into alcohol addiction again. You will go through 3, 4, 5, 10, 200-fold over her. It's ridiculous. Like, you know, actually the Bible, I'm so glad that I'm speaking about ratios, because even the scriptures make it clear that which harasses us is ridiculous. So ridiculous it is that we lose mothers, fathers, fields, homes, everything 100-fold over. Are we going to gain all of those things that we lost, and then in the next life, eternal life? Just so you can understand the actual accurate ratio of loss when you come to Christ. Satan knows what triggers you. He knows what is the thing that can push you off a building. And once you are in Christ, he will be given permission. Have you considered my servant Job? By God, to basically test you in ways that the devil has learned tend to get to you. And anticipate that just like you did back in the day, you will just fall into that again. Just like you did back in the day, you will just allow yourself to drink or watch porn or whatever might be the problem, whatever might be the thing that rolls you down a steep cliff. He will try to reinvest into your life again, but 100-fold over, guys, like a 20-fold over, 50 times over, and it's just gonna feel so overwhelming, just like I am overwhelmed right now. I literally cannot believe that I have been left to die for 10 years, like a whole decade. I've been left, like it's been a problem all throughout my life. But this here is, I mean, it's literally 20-fold over. It's literally it is times 20. It is times 20 so far and counting. Why? Because the last time this spate of sorrow, this spate of depression that made me want to die lasted 6 months, and in that time I couldn't. Like, I was so at the end of myself that I thoroughly wanted to drown myself in a bathtub. I wanted to drown myself in a bathtub after 6 months. And I didn't do it because I got made scared by the angels of God telling me, hell, there is hell. Once you pass away, there's no relief from what you're feeling inside. And I didn't do it. Went to go see some shrink that didn't do anything for me. That woman would not have succeeded to pull me off the edge if I did not get what I needed. It's written in God's word that the scepter of the wicked shall not remain on the land allotted to the righteous, lest they should turn their hands aside to do evil. There is a time span within which you can be unable or allowed by God to be tested, following which or beyond which you would fail. There is a time span. Like, if you excelled that time span, you would not make it. It's written in God's word that the righteous are, if the righteous are scarcely saved. I think it's 1 Peter 4. Forgive the wind, okay? If the righteous are scarcely saved, what then for the ungodly and the sinner? We struggle in and of ourselves, but we've got a lot more power than the world. So much more that sometimes Satan can afflict us 20-fold over in comparison to the first time. So whatever it is that you endured the first time, you can literally go through it 20 times over, like thoroughly. Like, imagine, like in the case, for instance, with alcohol addiction, the thing that drove you over, let's say it is like a relationship gone wrong, all right? Like a man hurting you, and then you drink your first drink, and then it's your second and your third, and then next thing you're like an addict. 6 months down the line, you're still downing 2-3 bottles of wine a day. Yeah, this time around, when you are in Christ, you will have such what looks like bad luck, really, quote unquote marks. You will have such bad fortune when it comes to men. You will have such a bad rap when it comes to men that you will seem, literally, you will meet a new prospective claiming to be in Christ, claiming to love you, claiming to be awesome and stuff. Every month, a new one that looks like this could be my husband. And every month, they ghost you. Every month, where before it was one guy that rolled you over a mountain to a point where you nearly died. You overcame the alcohol addiction as soon as you came to Christ. You conquered alcoholism. You are sober 5-6 years. And then seeking the Lord's face for a husband, you keep meeting perpetually, constantly, the same type of guy. You meet them at church, you meet them at church conferences, you meet them at church camp, you meet them everywhere. And these people speak such fluent Christianese. They are so clearly, obviously, of God. And on top of that, they relate with you. They interact with you in a way that basically seems really promising. It appears that they're really into you. It appears that this here is not going to end. It can't, because this guy is serious about me and, calling you, doting over you with flowers and everything. Calling you, doting over you, kama blomo, and everything. Just the whole thing that would cause a woman to think, yo, this is it. And then next thing, ghost. Doesn't call, does not take calls from you. You can tell that when you call them, they are hanging up on the other side, or they change their number, or you find out that they've moved to a new city and they didn't even tell you. And when you ask them, but what's up with that? They're like, oh, I didn't realize that you expected me to let you know that I was moving. But I mean, this thing seemed serious. We went on so many dates, this, that, and the other, like confusing experiences of that nature, until such time that so many of these people break your heart so much, making you feel so insecure that you end up thoroughly, deeply considering drinking alcohol, thoroughly, deeply considering taking a sip of wine, because that's what relieved you the first time. When that ex-boyfriend of yours gave you, after you guys broke up, you went down a steep hill, and the thing that appeared to cure your pain was wine. And so you drank enough bottles until you developed an addiction. That's what happened to make you an alcoholic historically. Now the devil will tell you, take a sip of wine. Now the devil will tell you, just one sip. One sip is all it takes for you to relapse as an alcoholic. Do you understand? Just take one sip, and the Lord will give you power by the Holy Spirit to resist that one sip, and He will give you healthier alternative ways to deal with your pain. He will give you scriptures to meditate on. He will give you life solutions that bring life, that speak life into your soul, instead of ones that rob from you peace. And you will succeed time and time again. You will beat your flesh into submission. You will overcome the devil by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. You will conquer the flesh. You will subdue it under the power of the Holy Spirit, until such time that this has now been happening for 6 years on a loop. In 6 years, you have had literally 25 guys do this to you. 25 guys in 6 years. 25 guys have done the exact same thing to you, to a point where you will feel like you are cursed. The Bible says that you can't curse those whom God has blessed. So you can't be cursed. But God knows that the devil tempts us with things that tend to work on us. Things that have triggered us. Things that have tipped us off a cliff before we got saved. He knows the right cocktail of conditions that encircle you, that can push you off a cliff. And the Lord allows the devil to test you this way. It's written in God's word that a crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. So the way that the Lord tests you is by allowing Satan, have you considered my servant Job, or Bida, or Cassandra, or Samantha, and then Satan will tempt in the way that historically you were tempted before coming to Christ. But historically what you went through will have lasted a year, but now that you're in Christ, it'll last 20 years. Like, it's weird but sad, and never mind weird but sad. However, it is overcomable because the power of the Holy Spirit is haughty, and He enables us to have much more strength, like Thor, like Hercules, like you are given like a Herculean strength, you know, like superhero strength. You are given supernatural strength to conquer that which you couldn't when you were in the flesh, when you were lost back then. But Satan, like I said, he understands the cocktail of conditions that need to encircle you to cause you to stumble in a particular regard. But the Holy Spirit is far more weighty. However, we are making war with the body of death, so at some point we do fall, because we are not invincible, just more powerful, stronger to resist the flesh than prior to redemption, but not invincible. And because God knows that we are not invincible, He remembers that we are made of dust, has compassion on us, and has given the devil